You're not first.
Oh, beautiful lunchtime. I hope you are satisfied. Oh, beautiful Gaia. Oh, this beautiful, beautiful earth of ours. I wouldn't want any other one. Oh, beautiful Gaia. Oh, Gaia calling us home. Oh, beautiful Gaia calling us home. Soil yielding its harvest. Waves crashing on granite. Oh, Gaia calling us all. Waves crashing on granite, calling us all. Oh, beautiful Gaia. Oh, Gaia calling us on. Oh, beautiful Gaia calling us on. Pine bending in windstorm. Oh, Gaia calling us on. Pine bending in windstorm, calling us on. Oh, beautiful Gaia. Oh, Gaia calling us on. Oh, beautiful Gaia calling us on. These verses could just go on forever, couldn't they? And you would make up your own verses, like sleet slamming on windshields, or something like that. Loon nesting in marshland. Oh, Gaia calling us home. Oh, loon nesting in marshland, calling us home. Oh, beautiful Gaia. Oh, Gaia calling us on. Oh, beautiful Gaia calling us on. Calling us on. I'm going to ask my musical buddies to join us. My two flautist buddies, Rhonda and David, and my singing buddy, Millon. And I don't know if Lisa is around. She might join us too. Be thou my vision. everlasting breath. Heart of mine, good heart, whatever befall, still be my vision, oh lover of all. Oh, amen. Oh, just stay up here and hang around and just play if you want to. I was just going to invite folks to sing Deep in Our Hearts. There is a common vision. Just the right thing to sing when we're all putting our heads together. B flat. Deep in our hearts, there is a common vision. Deep in our hearts, there is a common song. Deep in our hearts, there is a common story, telling creation that we are one. Deep in our heart, there is a common purpose. Deep in our hearts, there is a common goal. Deep in our hearts, there is a sacred message, justice and peace in harmony. Deep in our hearts, there is a common longing. Deep in our hearts, there is a common theme. Deep in our hearts, there is a common current flowing to freedom like a stream. Deep in our hearts, there is a common calling. Deep in our hearts, there is a common voice. Deep in our hearts, there is a Holy Spirit, telling all people, sing and rejoice. And to see deep in our hearts, there is a common vision. Deep in our hearts, there is a common song. Deep in our hearts, there is a common story, telling creation that we are one. Amen. If we have to.
If I had my way, you would just keep singing, because it's been wonderful. Thank you. Truly, guys, what a gift of music we have just experienced there. And thank you all for coming. My name is Reverend Dana Cox. I've been a minister here at Campbellstone for a couple years, and just recently, what did I say? Holy smokes. Any Campbellstoners out there, I'm sorry. I was deep in thought about other things, and the music took me away, but I am one of the ministers at McDougall, and most recently, I got that right this time, right? Yeah, good. One of the ministers at McDougall, but even more excitingly, just recently, I'm part of a ministry team that covers McDougall, Ogden, and Red Deer Lake United. And again, obviously, I have so applaud on that. Wonderful. So thank you all for coming, and you can tell I have, I guess, oars in many boats here as I'm still thinking about my previous church, but that's the bane of every minister. You have a love that continues. So today, I really appreciate you giving me just a couple minutes to talk about a project we worked on here at McDougall. Interestingly, when I first got here, literally my first day here, a member, a congregant who I didn't know, approached me, and we were talking, and in the discussion, we were just kicking around ideas, and she had a background in arts and art relations and such, and she also was very integral as part of the right relations here at McDougall United. I'm never going to live that down. In any event, we talked, we had this idea, and what's interesting is that, like many things, when we were coming to it, you know, when you're approaching right relations, it's really hard, or at least it seems to me, to get an authentic connection, something that actually can speak to both groups and build bridges and do the things you want community outreach and right relations to do, to start healing, to start working together. And I really believe that there's a real way that when you take a common theme, what Jennifer said last night, talking about taking a common theme that we all can agree upon, and use that sort of as a vehicle, as a bridge to move forward and to, again, continue to strengthen these relations. And the thing that we decided, obviously, and something I believe that we can learn a lot from our Indigenous brothers and sisters, is a sense of what creation is, what nature is and our relation to it, right? So using that as a theme to the mural, we decided to do this project. And again, whenever you do a creative endeavor, you know it's a blank slate and there's nothing scary. I think Michelangelo said there's nothing scarier than a blank canvas. And so on this blank canvas, and go ahead with the video now if you want to. We didn't just ask, like, as an individual artist, you approach one canvas, you don't know what to do. But when you have the unknown of 72 canvases and you have no idea what's going to happen, it really can be daunting. And it was one of those things where, as we did this, it sort of took on a life of its own. The video I hope we're showing is just going to be a grouping of I'm going to show all the images that they're just going to kind of pepper through here and show you some of the things that people came up with. So after we should just listen. Maybe we should just listen to music, really, after that too, being that I'm still in the wrong church. So in any event, when we started this, it was really going to be, again, both a corporate event and an individual event. That whole unity and diversity thing was an element of this. And I have to say that so much of the credit due to the success of this project, obviously, is the artists lending their talent, and again, each of them facing this blank canvas. But I also believe that it was those who considered themselves non-artists who participated that really, I think, spoke to what this, or the whole idea of how art can help to do so many things in ministry. That's the real problem with ministry, I believe, and the arts, is that it's a fire hose. There are so many ways to use it, and sometimes it's hard to sort of narrow down on one thing or the other. And that, yes, that is absolutely a plug for my workshop that's coming up in a little bit. We'll talk more about that. But again, as we did this, it was really so heartening to see. We had two events where we invited people in to paint. and to see the interaction, the way people talked and discussed amongst themselves. When you would see, a member of the church here with his grandson and his grandchildren painting and talking about nature, when you could see indigenous folks, coming in and helping to sort of, work through what people are doing. As part of this, the way I'm going to tell the story of the mural, the way we did the mural was we invited 3 wonderful indigenous folk to come and speak initially. So at each session, for the beginning of the session, we would have Gloria Snow, Glenda Crawler, and Trudy Wesley, who were instrumental in telling the story of the connection between indigenous folks and nature. And it was wonderful. After that, we also had some readings from a book that was written by John Snow, the senior. And so the place sort of had an air of what the spiritual sense of what nature was with indigenous folks. And actually, the 3 leaders, Trudy did this wonderful image with little pink flowers on it, and Glenda did one where she put a robin, and she said the robin bird's song is the song that begins springtime. And Gloria did 2. I don't know how she got to do 2, but she did 2. One of them being a medicine wheel, and one being an image with TP. So again, I invite you to consider those when you see them. And again, my thanks go out to these folks for doing it. But again, it was in the act of doing this, it was in the act of painting it that we learned so much. A daughter with an infirmed father painting and talking about what nature meant to them. Families so that would come together and share and do one image. So I say it was 68 artists or 72 artists, but really some of these are combinations. We had artists that were from very young, Skyla, who was 2 years old, to 94 years old. We had a mix of indigenous and settler who were taking part in this. And I think, again, it was, the Cajuns have an expression that says you pass a good time. And it doesn't just mean like casually you pass a good time. It means the Spirit was with you. The Spirit was with you. On both those events, we passed a good time. But if that wasn't enough, the thing that really, I think, was the learning curve for me, again, because as we're doing this, it's amorphous. You have no idea what you're going to end up with. The learning curve was like making all the decisions after that. Okay, how many canvases do we have? Okay, we're going to make a pyramid, reminiscent of a teepee. Is it rectangular? Is it square? How do we do it? How do we actually put the different pieces together? How do we hang it? Like all these little things and all these different people who brought their talents to bear on this was just so exciting to watch and to witness. And so as we worked on it, it really sort of took on a life of its own, incorporating other people. One of my most exciting parts of this for me was that we had a little youth group, and one of the 3 of the members kind of came together, 3 teenagers, and decided how to place the different pieces together. And you might think, okay, that's all good and fine, but go ahead, this is like perfect timing. Go ahead, next slide. But when they grouped them together, I thought the way they did it was phenomenal, because we were really trying to, in essence, take something that would repeat over and over, but they would also, again, work together in whole. This image, as you can see, I'm just going to give you a little inside baseball stuff on to show you how the interconnectedness works. So this is 4 artists. We have Gloria on the top right. We have Avery and Theo, a combination with a whale and a squid. We have Miss Carol, who is also here. And then on the bottom right, we have Shauna. Shauna, by the way, is a name I didn't mention, but I really should have, as far as thanks and as far as holding this project together and really coming to, a really nice conclusion with a booklet and hanging it and all, and her father, Alvin. But I brought this one up to show you, not just, yes, it's interesting, it's beautiful, but the top right one, my apologies, top left, top right, no, sorry. Boy, it's been a morning. But that one was done by a young lady who came to a Linkages program, another program we run, where she did a drawing and she really liked it, but she couldn't finish it, so we got Theo to paint it for her. The bottom left was one that, again, someone who was sort of afraid to do this, or just, I wouldn't say afraid, but let's just say had a certain amount of trepidation to put herself out there in that way. And she did that wonderful image of the crocus on the plains, on the prairie, excuse me. And she really wanted a dragonfly there, so she got another artist to lend a hand and do it. So again, it was community coming together. And, you know, there's so much I could say more about it, but I'm going to honor my 10-minute time limit here and just, again, invite you and encourage you to think about ways the arts can be leveraged in your different locations. See what the needs of your church are, and again, you can almost quiz me later if you want. Approach me anytime and ask me about the mural or about the idea of using art, because I do believe there's a lot of ways that are going unaddressed, and it's something that, again, brought me to my sense of spirituality. But this project truly, I felt, had, I'm going to use a seminary word here, multivalent aspect to it. It was wonderful in building community. It was an individual and corporate activity. It really did, to me, reach out in a way that felt very authentic. And what drove that home to me, the authenticity of it and sort of the sense of the Holy Spirit moving through it, was the idea that at the very end we had 4 more images to do. 4 more images to do, and we had 4 indigenous youth who were going to come and do this for us, right? They didn't show up at the last minute. So here we were with 68. We had figured out what we were going to do. All we needed was 4 more pieces to put this together. And we were stuck. And one of the youth stood up and said, "These look like medicine wheels," which is what Gloria said. "So why don't we break up a medicine wheel and put it in each of the corners?" And to me, that felt so Holy Spirit driven, because it truly bookended the project. It really, and just so you'll know, I absolutely checked with Gloria, who was one of the, who was actually in ministry, in school for ministry right now. And Gloria, in her thing, she talked about how she saw medicine wheels all over this, and she was delighted by this late edition. So again, I encourage you to go out on that limb, take that leap of faith, figure out ways to use arts, and I would be culinary, visual, and musical arts. As we see, it's a wonderful way to express the Spirit. Let that come into your church, come into your life, and help it to feed others. Because truly, the church is a very needed entity in this modern age. I think I've done 10 minutes. Does someone come behind me? You? Oh, my apologies. Oh, you know what? I'm going to do a quick commercial as Joanne comes up. We have, it's over in the front corner. I'm going to be there pretty much every break after my workshop today, every break, and I'm also going to be there at the very end. I'm sure you guys are going to have a lot of stamina after Sunday morning, but after Sunday morning, I will be over there talking about it. And also, we're selling books that are going to be used to help right relations. And we also have and the books, I believe, are like $20, and that's about a $5 profit on each book to go towards right relations. And we also have a number of little purchases with bookmarks that I think are lovely too. All right, I've definitely talked enough because Joanne's playing me out here. Thank you, guys.
Who funded this project, Dana?
That's a good question, Joanne. Yeah. This program was funded by Chinook Winds. And yes, Chinook Winds, United Church of Canada Healing Fund, McDougall United supported it, Urban Indigenous Circle, and an entity called Brush with the Spirit, which is one of my passions as well. So it had a lot of people involved. Again, thank you. Anything else I forgot besides the wrong church? Good, thank you.
It's all right. We've only been working together, what, 3 years now, Dana? But 2.5. 2.5. Okay, well, when it's 3, you'll remember who we are. Yes, we're there. We're moving into our business session now, so I'm going to invite David Pollard to come, and I think we have a retiree video while we're getting ready.
I'm Pamela Scott, and I retired from full-time ministry on December 31st, 2023. The retirees have been asked to offer a short reflection on their ministry based on the theme of the regional meeting, Glimmers of Glory, Holding the Light. Glimmers of glory. Where is it I have seen the holy breaking through, holding the light? Who is it that helps keep the focus on the holy? More than a few years back, when I requested a discernment committee to be formed, it was taken to presbytery. Someone there did not want a committee formed for me. In the past, I had attended denominations other than the United Church. They wanted me to put a few more years into the United Church to be sure I was really United Church material. The minister at the church I was attending went to bat for me. Policy set out certain requirements, and I fulfilled them all. A discernment committee was formed. That minister, a glimmer of glory. The process for entering ministry changed while I was en route, and my last interview was with a room full of people, all seated in a circle. I failed that first interview. It was unexpected. There was a second interview set for the afternoon that same day. The person in charge, who had to scramble to have all the proper documentation arrive, and all those who agreed to sit a second interview were glimmers of glory. The second interview was successful, and I continued on my internship. The conference was meeting, and I had yet to secure a calling. You cannot be ordained unless you have a community of faith to serve. Again, someone went to bat for me and secured a summer placement. A glimmer of glory, someone holding the light. I was ordained in May of 2012. The summer placement was full of grace, a glimmer of glory. I had finally secured a full-time calling, and they released me 2 weeks early so that I could find housing in my new location. Ministry itself is full of glimmers of glory as you hold the light, offering the sacraments, communion and baptism, leading worship, discerning with the group of church members what mission they would like to support, officiating at a wedding, walking with folks as they celebrate the life of a loved one passed, partaking in community work, meetings, building checks, administration duties, commitments to the larger church, all glimmers of glory. Entering into the family life of the church, church-wide birthday celebrations, soup and a bun, community meals, and family fun nights, outreach, all contribute to holding the light by you and by each person in the community, offering glimmers of glory, all life-affirming. I've been fortunate that I had a small group of clergy, 3 others and myself, who met for a season over a meal, listening and supporting each other in our various ministries, each holding the light, helping you to see the glimmers of glory in your ministry. 2 other pastors in town have been and are glimmers of glory as we hold the light to and for each other. We meet once a month over breakfast. Of course, ministry also holds its challenges. Most of us will be familiar with the hymn, "We are pilgrims," or the servant song. We are pilgrims on a journey, fellow travelers on the way. Any of you who have traveled with other folks, joined a group on a pilgrimage, or traveled with a friend, know that some people are a blessing and a joy to walk alongside, a joy to travel with, but others are more challenging. Thankfully, in the community I served, those who are a blessing, glimmers of glory, holding the light, outnumbered by far those who are a challenge. My prayer for you is that somewhere in your busy schedules, you make the time to reflect on the glimmers of glory, the inbreaking of the holy, as you hold the light, blessing the various communities you serve.
energy's a little low. Do you sense that in the room? Your energy's a little low? Yeah, so I was telling a story from Life with Teenagers, and I'll tell the court story just as we begin, and we'll have a little fun. A while back, my teenagers made a huge mess in the house, and my wife and I talked about it, and let's take the modem away. After school, they can come home and clean it and get the modem back when they've done what we've asked. So in our family text, my daughter sent a text to her mom saying, Dad took the modem away and wants us to clean, but what if we want to listen to music when we clean? Because they listen to music on their phones over the Wi-Fi, right? And my wife says in bold letters, all bold letters, sing, with exclamation points and a grumpy face. I didn't hear much singing, but they got the house clean. But I am going to invite you to humor your business chair for one moment and put your fingers like this and forget for a moment you are in the United Church of Canada. And let's sing, because we got Glimmers of Glory. We just saw two. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. I told you, forget you're in the United Church. Let's sing it one more time like we mean it. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Amen. Let's get to work. And can you tell we just had Camp Sunday down south, eh? We are talking about the proposals that are in your agenda book. We are going to deal with them this way. There are two proposals on essentially the same thing, asking for similar actions. What the business committee has done is the proposals that are found on, I have this here.
37?
Yes, we've got them up here. They start at page 37, but these ones, I just got to find the page. So they starts at page 40. Starting on page 40, there's a proposal from either Bev DeLong or Doreen Cott. One proposal is named Nonviolence, Practical and Effective Tools for Building Peace. And the other one is named Sustainable Peace and Common Security. What the business committee has done is the background information for those proposals remains the same because you don't change background information. And the recommendations have been molded into one proposal. And so one recommendation coming out of all that background information. And so those two proposals are now called a commitment to nonviolence and sustainable security. And what we've did to make it clean and easy is to put the two recommendations together. So we're voting on those two recommendations as one proposal. Does that make sense to you? You all understand what's going on here? And so I want to let you know that this proposal comes from these two United Church members who are members at Parkdale. And so they are not members of the court, so the business committee is putting it on the floor on their behalf. And this is what they're recommending. The background information, as I said, remains the same. And as we talk about the proposal right now, we're asking for questions for clarification or for more information. And there are a couple of folks from Parkdale who might be able to help us with that discussion. And I might be able to help, or maybe there's some wisdom in the room. We'll see. So this is what they're recommending. This is what they recommend. Oh, sorry, there we go. Come on now. Am I the only one who has trouble with this thing?
No.
Okay. Come on. I probably pressed the button too many times. I want to go back to the title because then I want to go forward. There we go. Okay, now I want to go forward. Can we move to the next slide? Some way, somehow. All right, so this is what they're proposing. That the United Church of Canada at all levels should explore the proposals from shifting from defense policies grounded in threats of and potential use of nuclear weapons and other violent options. And we propose the consideration of the common security policy proposals now under consideration in Canada and internationally. We hope for educational materials that can be broadly shared in Canada. This exploration would also be done with the goal of developing recommendations to the Government of Canada on defense policies and budget policies consistent with common security policies. Yeah, we'll cycle through them as we talk. And the final point that they're asking for is that clear information be given on why the questions are asked, how the information... Sorry, this is my apologies, that's not the right slide. Anyhow, so what's going on here? Oh, dear. Okay. Can we just go ahead a slide? Because we might have some issues. There we go. So we encourage that throughout the church on the history and tactics of nonviolence and its effectiveness. We would propose that the resolutions through General Council encouraging the Government of Canada also to inform itself of this information and to provide funding to enable people with this training to become more strongly engaged in peace building and peace negotiations in conflict zones. So essentially what they're proposing is that the United Church of Canada start to get more involved in advocacy for issues of sustainable common peace and nuclear disarmament. Again, the recommendations have just been lifted literally from the two proposals, and they have been put together so you vote on them and approve or disapprove the proposal as it is. We want one clean vote on this. So we're going to take some time in table groups just to talk about how you feel about the issue. And just talk for about 5 minutes about the proposal, and then if there are questions for clarification or issues that you would like to discuss or get more information on, this is the time to do that. So take 5 minutes and talk about the proposals as they've been presented to you. And I will see if I can get this.
It's changing different slides at the moment for some reason. So.
Okay. If we can just cycle through. understand. So the background is so the easiest for me to read is put the two recommendations that are being rolled together and print that. Yeah, let me do that while folks are talking. Yeah, no, the other one is.
Dana's workshop is in his art room. Yeah, there's two instances. And then the Let Us Sing workshop is in here, and the other one would be in that room. Okay, all right. So I have the key to that, and that's the biblical storytelling, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah. So I'll get the key to that, and then I have to put those doctors up. How many people are in that room? Probably has the numbers like I know. I asked Tony about the idea about a feast out there, and he thought that was great. Good. I'm on my way already. I went into the office and said, you might have to hold it here again next year. And Jen's like, but anyway, too soon? She said, well, if we're having a feast, then you don't need a banquet, so that's all fine. Well, she volunteered to do the banquet. Yes, no, I know. And I think she's happy to do that, but it's like things like, no, you can't go in there and set up because there's a labyrinth. That was just dumb. Yeah, we should have moved. We should have swapped the laptops and well, that's World Labyrinth Day today. That's why we even came up with that. More draconian and yes and no in terms of. Oh, it's not on? Ooh. Oh.
I said 5 minutes. 5 minutes?
I have a note. I didn't know.
Okay. All right.
On mic. Or hot mic?
Hello? Hello?
Oh, you want me to do the clap thing? Clap once if you're listening. Clap twice if you're listening. Clap 3 times if you're listening. There you go. We're just doing all kinds of camp stuff today. Isn't it wonderful? We are going to call you back. You've had some table group time to discuss the proposal and would invite you to, if you have questions for clarification, to come to the microphones, and the wisdom of the room might be evident. Someone might have an answer because we've been talking about and conversing about these issues for a number of years in the United Church. I'm not going to claim to be an expert, but when folks bring information or want action from the region, we try to oblige as best we can. And so we also need to remember that this is a proposal to General Council, and we deal with it here and either send it along or not, because they're asking for action from the General Council, not from the region. And so on this issue, are there questions for information or clarification? The microphones are open.
Mike 2.
Dave Goodwin, Stetley United Church. I would like to know what the action would be. This is a great proposal in terms of philosophy, but what is the action? If I'm not mistaken, then from what you said, it was to train people to become peacekeepers. Is that correct? Is that the action that we're looking for?
I believe the action that's being asked for is for the General Council to undertake a series of things, basically educating itself on issues of nonviolence, nuclear disarmament, and sustainable development, and then figuring out a way, once educated, to empower congregations, individual church members, to be aware of the global issues around nuclear weapons, violence, threats of violence, and international conflict, and so that we would be richer and better for having the understanding that the world that we live in is sometimes fraught, and unless we're vigilant and aware of what's happening as church members, we are not necessarily fulfilling our call And that, I believe, is the action that's being asked for. And somebody from, Susan's nodding her head. She's part of the conversation at Parkdale around that. So that's what they're asking for. That's the action.
One thing I think just to clarify around proposals, the when we send proposals forward to General Council, it means that the entire church is spending its time discussing these questions, so whatever the proposals are. So one of the things when you're discerning around proposals is this an issue that you want the whole church to be spending their time speaking about? And I'm not saying that now to encourage or discourage this particular proposal, but just to say that that's one of the questions that you want to be thinking about as you're discerning around the proposals, or thinking about the questions that you might have with respect to any of the proposals we're bringing forward.
And it is a salient point. They have sent some additional information that, as we consider this, and let me see if I can find it here, just around the number of nuclear weapons that are actually pointed at us, because we sometimes forget post-Glasnost and Cold War that the nuclear threat is still very real. And I think between India and Pakistan, there's 200 nuclear weapons they have pointed at each other that could, in 15 or 20 minutes, wreak havoc for years, if not centuries, if India and Pakistan get mad at each other enough to loose even one of those. So, because it's a chain reaction. I can't do that.
Mike 1.
That's me. Glenda Wirt, Prairie Spirit Pastoral Charge. I bring a question from the table. Peace man. That's not the question, that's just my message. Given the state of the world currently, given the escalatory violence, given what took place on October 7th, there was a question really about time, wondering if this was a proposal that has been in the works for a while, or if this is something that is partially in response to current global events, including October 7th. I would add the invasion of Ukraine as well. Or if this is, it's anti-nuclear and it's pro-peace, so it's kind of been our theme for quite a while. And I stand in support of it. But
okay.
That was the question posed.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, my understanding is that, and again, talk about Glimmers of Glory, Parkdale United Church doing their work of faith and justice with having an eye towards things outside of themselves and just the simple survival of the church, but being concerned about the world around us. That's a glimmer of glory. My understanding of this work is decades in the making, if not generational. And so these two particular folks have been conversant with social justice issues for a number of years. And at some point, when we have violence in the world, we reach a tipping point. And sometimes it doesn't hurt to be reminded of our traditional advocacy and action around nonviolence. We are been so focused on putting out fires in our own house, we don't recognize that the whole world sometimes is burning. And so with intentional action on behalf of the General Council for folks across the church, we can maybe rekindle some of that spirit and not forget that we are also called to do justice, seek justice and resist evil. So I think there's some of that theme welling up in some of this as well.
Are there any other questions for clarification? Mike 1.
Melvin Spence, Gordon Memorial United Church in Redcliffe. I feel somewhat ignorant of what nonviolent actions have been successful in the past. I'm familiar with what Gandhi did in India and what he went through as what I learned from the movie, but other than that type of nonviolence, I feel quite ignorant.
Well, the the background information is asking for, in terms of sustainable peace or sustainable common development, us to focus maybe defense budgets rather than on weapons of war and mass destruction. We start talking about how do we build up the peaceable commonwealth of God in terms of support, education, understanding, and maybe those would be better investments on the front end of our communities and our world, rather than amassing weapons of war and violence and perpetrating violence against each other as nation states, so that, you know, if we do that kind of nonviolence as a first principle, we won't build ourselves up to the point where we have to either defend or attack. Somebody from Parkdale pointed out to me that, you know, Poland got rid of its nuclear weapons 20 years ago. 20 years ago, they have not had a nuclear weapon. But if you know what's happening in the world, Russia's sitting next to Ukraine and next to Poland with a fully armed nuclear arsenal. And so there's trade-offs, right? And so Poland has walked away of peace while their neighbors haven't. And so we need to pressure and advocate and educate ourselves as to what's actually going on, because there's a huge disadvantage for the nation of Poland.
Yeah, Uanggon, Stater United Church and Big Belly and Erskine United Church. This is very inspiring just motion to me, proposal to me. My question is whether, the United Church of Canada just officially pursue the non-violence theory in the United Church of Canada. That's my question. And in addition, then how about then just war theory? I'm from South Korea. Yes. We experienced the war. We know how disaster it is, right? And still, there is a high tension, military tension between South and North. Yeah, right? And yeah, definitely we need to be peacemakers, and we need to learn how to learn the tactics of non-violence and how to put those tactics into practice, right? But it is real that military conflicts are happening in the world, right? But well, I don't deny the importance of the non-violence tactics, but just I also wonder how we would deal with the just war theory in relation to non-violence statistics, learning of non-violence tactics.
Thank you for that question. I think that's something we might wrestle with in the discussion phase, because we will have a chance to kind of sit with this a little bit, having the questions for clarification, and then when we move to the discussion phase, suggest amendments or ways or things that haven't been brought up, and then the business committee will see if we can make adjustments to that proposal and consider that question.
Mike 2.
Hi, Pam Rocker, Affirming Connections. So we just had a nonviolent series, and the amazing thing that I learned is that nonviolent actions work twice, like double, as more effective than violent actions in half of the time. So it's exciting to me to see somebody bring this to the table. My question is, and maybe this is more in the discussion phase, but if there can be more of a fleshing out, because I would want, if we're going to send this to the General Council, I would want it to be a little bit more actionable than kind of having them do more of that work. So my question would be like, are the people who brought it forward or whoever could make those changes open to making it a little bit more concrete?
I think the business committee can take that, because I don't want to say motherhood and apple pie, but this is kind of right in our wheelhouse as church, right, and where we should be. But you're right about the actionable items, and that might be a discussion that the business committee might have. And if folks have any ideas about actionable items, come and talk to us, because I don't think this is necessarily a bad idea. I just think that the folks hadn't really thought through what actually we can do, right? And you're right. So sending something for the church to study is great, but maybe a commitment to some actionable things that we can do would be apropos.
Thank you.
And the discussion phase, I think that would be part, am I right?
Yep.
Of the discussion phase to brainstorm on that. We have an online question.
Yes, this is a question from Arlene Parkinson of Japanese United and on the board of ECM. And the question is, what is the cost of this proposal in the way of staff, money, and time, and especially when we're cutting so much from M&S grants, is it viable?
Well, the movers are quite cute. In terms of financial implications, they point out it's however big the next level of the church wants to make it, right? They can, put very little staff time into it, or they can invest heavily in a program that's rolled out for every congregation. So, you can say the financial implications are 0 to millions, and that's why in the discussion phase, if we come up with some more actionable things, we might have an idea of what price tag might be. So thank you for that question.
Mike 2.
Hi, Amy Haynes from Scarborough United. I guess I have a question of clarification around how this proposal differs from our commitments that we hold already, such as with the World Council of Churches and our other global partnerships where we do, as the United Church, work around things like disarmament and peace building. Is this a separate issue, or is there space to come alongside some existing partnerships that exist already?
I certainly think there is space to come alongside, and I'm sensing that the Red Cross Church, we might be a little bit muddled about what those are and how we work for nonviolent and sustainable peace and development in a variety of ways with a variety of partners. And maybe what we need to ask the General Counsel to do is to, clean up the communications around those things. And that might be a conversation that we might have to improve the proposal. To look at what's already happening rather than inventing the wheel, and that might be the way forward. So thank you for that question for clarification. Yeah, I think if there's no other question for clarification on this
If there are
proposal.
no other questions for clarification, then we can move on.
Yes, to the next proposal, which comes to us from the Council of High River United Church. And if we could bring that proposal up on that slide. This title is long. A proposal inviting the reevaluation of the statistical forms in relation to the call and vision of bold discipleship, deep spirituality, and daring justice. I would just invite you to put the recommendation up. It's over a few slides. I'm not going to read it, but I am going to ask Susan Lukey, who is coming to us on behalf of the Council of High River United Church, to come and speak to the proposal and the hows and whys and wherefores of its presence here.
Susan Lukey, High River United Church. This proposal came out as we were working on the statistical forms this year, and there were just a few things that really jumped out as glaring as we thought about the call and vision to bold discipleship, deep spirituality, and daring justice. For example, on the faith development page, when you get to the bottom, it asks how many women's groups, how many men's groups. There's places above where you could include all gender, non-binary, but in a separate section you have men's groups and women's groups. And I understand that that information can serve a purpose, and it needs to be there, but it stands out so much when we're talking about being an affirming church. The other one that really jumped out for us, and the council had a big discussion about, was the new question being asked for the number of volunteer hours put into a congregation. And the minute that was brought up at council, the reaction was clear and strong. We are not volunteers at the church, we are disciples. Jesus did not call volunteers to put in a few hours a week. Jesus called disciples to give heart and mind and soul to live their lives in the way of Jesus, not just to volunteer a few hours a week. And so, in light of those discussions, it led us to talk about how the statistics help us in living out the call and vision to bold discipleship, deep spirituality, and daring justice. And in some ways, what it felt like is actually it takes away the glimmers of glory of the work we do. Thinking of what Dave Holmes talked about last night, the shame that comes when we have no preschoolers. And also the fluidity of numbers. When I look at youth group, when I look at the work we're doing, how people might show up for this event, not this event. How do I start counting those? So it's recognizing that there is an accountability needed. There are statistics that are needed, but can we have a look at this? I haven't seen huge changes, some changes in 35 years I've been working with statistical forms, but can there be a look at this to say how does it reflect bold discipleship, deep spirituality, and daring justice, and encourage us in living that call and vision? And the last thing, when I was doing my master's thesis, going through old Observers and New Outlooks, I remember coming across a letter in a 1940s New Outlook that said, "Statistics will be the death of the church."
You speak for many, Susan.
Amen. Just when I got back from lunch, there was a little card advertising the services at Waterton this summer, which are great and wonderful, and lots of really talented folks coming to offer leadership there. Your statistical forms, if you've ever had the joy of filling them out, they ask for average attendance between October and November. But Waterton United Church doesn't even meet in October and November, and so we have congregations that just don't. And so this whole question, I think, is quite appropriate for such a time as this. So take a few minutes in your table groups. We'll take. What time is it? I have time till 4?
No, 4 minutes.
4. I have 4 minutes left.
Tell them to have 4 minutes.
Oh, 4 minutes. Okay, 4 minutes in your table groups to talk about the proposal.
You had until 25 after, so take until 1/2 past. That's okay. There's some flex time there. Didn't put in. Yeah. I'm still wondering. Yeah. I asked to what we heard, and she said it wasn't clear enough. Oh, okay. All right. Good. But it wasn't on the mic. No, it's going into the Zoom. I don't know how that's happening because my Zoom wasn't open. Could be that that's a multi-directional. But it wasn't clear. It wasn't clear. Okay. She was just whining. Yeah, well, I mean, we did it in Medicine Hat, but it was cramped in one room that you had to rotate through. The Southminster's doing it, not this year, but the next year. And they have lots of space. We probably could do it in, like, other Calvary churches. I was thinking Red Deer Lake, it could work, but the basement is really very I wondered about Simon's Valley. Yeah, maybe up there, but so they have, no, because they take out the musical theater, so they have a sanctuary. It's not as big as this one, but and I think they have a hall too. That's ideal. Yeah, I mean you could hold it at Knox, but it's downtown. That'd be cool. Because it's they have huge, right? Huge, so. But they have a great hall. Yeah, they have a lot of space. You would meet in the hall. Yeah. Oh. No, it's not live. It's not live. Well, so ask them why. Ask them in the back. Why our mic's not on. Yeah, and my Zoom audio's off.
I'm going to invite you to come back to the center, and we will open up the microphones for any questions of clarification. It is fairly clear what the High River United Church Council is asking for. So, again, friends, I know that there's lots of conversations happening, so I'm going to invite you to come back to the center, and don't make me clap. Okay, clap once if you're listening, clap twice if you're listening, clap 3 times if you're listening. All right. Questions for clarification from the floor.
Mike.
Sorry. Yamashita from the Executive Committee. I get a sense, and I want to know how correct I am, is that some of the questions on the statistical form are sort of like being asked what color your underwear is. We are embarrassed by some of the answers that we would have to give, and we really want to know, why are you asking that question?
I think there could be some shame in it, or embarrassment. I think it's also wondering why we're doing the work. Is there a purpose for tallying some of these numbers?
Other questions for clarification? Mike 2.
Dave Goodwin, Stettler United. My understanding from statistical analysis is that generally the statistics are used for economic planning, for programming, and so forth. And so that, in that case, then, if that is the case, then the statistics need to be relevant to what is going on in the church. Is it necessary is the other question. So I guess my question would be, is in your proposal, is there some way that we can still manage the economics of programming within the church?
What we're asking is for a review of the statistics, to ask those questions. Are there questions that are necessary? Are they not? And whether the statistics required or changed. The other option we're giving is just that there be clear explanation. For example, the question about volunteer hours. When I went into the booklet that comes with the statistical forms, there was no reference to that question, no explanation of why it was being asked. So I think that we're providing a couple of options, asking for a review of what's really needed, but then also if this is needed, how do we understand the purpose of asking these questions for our ministry?
Are there any other questions for clarification?
This one right there.
Marco Williams, St. Mary from Rimbey United Church. My question is, in reviewing the questions and reviewing the statistics, would it be also a good idea to review the purpose of how this would be used?
I think that's our intent in asking for explanations.
All right, we are running over a bit, so unless there's a burning question for clarification, We're going to close the first part of our business proposals, and next time we discuss these, it will be a discussion, and that's where policies and how you feel about it will be brought up. Thank you, David. What have we now? Jennifer Henry. All right, we want to invite Jennifer Henry to come again and give us words from General Counsel, right?
Thank you. Thanks. Well, friends, grace and peace to you from God and our Lord Jesus Christ. I have always been interested that from the early moments of the church, there were these greetings that go back and forth to each other, right? From the early church, and you can read them in the epistles. That there was a sense of importance to send a greeting from one part of the church to another, to encourage, to inspire, to claim the presence of the living God, to be one together. And for our church, our vision statement speaks of being a bold, connected, and evolving church. So when we send these kind of greetings to one another, we kind of live into that connectedness. So in that spirit, this is my formal hat on to bring you greetings from the moderator and the general secretary and all of the staff of the General Counsel office, and just to say how much of a delight it is to be with you in this region and how lovely it is to get to connect our work together with one another. And I have really already a deep sense of gratitude for the gifts that you bring to this church and what we can learn from what you're doing here in this place. I'm going to talk about 3 things related to the General Counsel office, but I'm also here, and if there's something else you want to talk about, you can find me at coffee or other times, and I'm happy to engage them. And do we think this is going to work? Okay, we're going to try. Hey, wow. The first thing that I want to talk about is the strategic plan. And what I can say that it's an incredible delight to see you talking about the call and wrestling as you just did in this conversation. That's beautiful, because that's exactly what was intended. So, this call emerged a number of years ago as an attempt to kind of distill and harvest, as Dave was talking about earlier, who are we as church, and can we just be that church? But it was a way to try and harvest some words that would speak to who we are as church. What was our common vision? What's our common song? And amazing for us as a church that has very long documents that we managed to distill that into these 6 words of deep spirituality, bold discipleship, and daring justice. And I just would encourage you to just keep playing with and struggling with and wrestling with. We had a great conversation a little bit earlier about maybe a missing piece around radical hospitality. I just love that conversation about who we are, because the clearer we can get about who we are in our diversity, what connects us, the clearer we can be about who we are in the world and invite others into that conversation. So the call really was developed in an attempt to offer something to the whole church to wrestle with about our common identity. And it got kind of expanded, not so much, but a little bit, into this vision statement. So this sense of called by God as disciples, this is connecting back to the conversation, as disciples of Jesus, we seek to be a bold, connected, evolving church of diverse, courageous, hope-filled communities that are united in deep spirituality and inspiring worship and daring justice. And so that call and vision really connects us to each other. And those 2 pieces were intended to be for the whole church across the country, and offered in that way. And one of the things we are doing now is exploring the many languages that the church uses, and looking at the call. It's a nice thing about the 6 words is looking at the call in all the languages that the church uses, and what kind of incredible insight we have about ourselves when we think about that in Korean or Malagasy or Twi or in French or Spanish, etc. So this is important, I think, for us to open our mind to who we are in our diversity, but with that connection. So the call and vision really are those kind of horizon, it's that epiphany star that's out there in front of us. But it's linked to 6 strategic objectives. And these are really meant to be for the General Council office and the national program. Now, it's really great when there's some intersecting connections. So you will see in leadership, for example, what's going on in this region. There's an intersecting connection between what's being done in terms of leadership nationally and regionally. But these were intended to give some structure to what the national church is doing. So call and vision for the whole church, and these strategic objectives for the General Council office. And if you look at those strategic objectives, at the front of that fish is that growth. That's the piece we've identified as a priority. And we shorthand it as growth, but really the words are strength and invitation, humility and confidence in sharing faith. And that's because when we did the consultation process across the country, and I don't know if anybody participated, that was a COVID experience of online moderators' town halls. The thing we heard over and over again is that we need to find a way to talk about evangelism. And it was always that way. It was like, evangelism, the E word, a United Church kind of evangelism, a United Church way of doing that. There was a discomfort of using the word, but there was a real passion for saying, how are we sharing our faith? With confidence, with humility, but how are we sharing our faith? And really, that was what came through loud and clear. So what we're looking to say is, how can we strengthen our capacity? How can we strengthen ourselves as communities that welcome, attract, retain, transform, and send out into the world? And the beautiful folks who now are a part of our growth team, which is great that we have in the National Office a growth team, and Scott is a beautiful representation of that with the other 10 folks. It's about a team of 10 working across the country. It's lovely that they came up with WARTS as the acronym here. But anyhow, the point here is that we're trying, it's about thriving, right? It's really about thriving. Can we be a church that thrives? And can we be a church with communities that thrive all across the country? So that's what we're really looking to do, and it's a partnership. It's a partnership between communities of faith, regions, and the national church. We think that there's 3 strategies in terms of that growth piece. One is to renew existing communities of faith. Another is to create, and we have this crazy goal of trying to create 100 new communities of faith. And then to invite folks both into that renewal, those renewed existing communities, and into those new communities. We want to invite folks to be part of us, to be connected to us as the United Church of Canada in new and in fresh ways. So that renew, create, invite are the kinds of pieces of work that we're trying to do together. And I can say a few things about how that's going. One wonderful thing is we've only had the growth animators in place since January 1st, all set of them across the country. And already they've engaged with 80 ministry personnel, 57 governing bodies, 16 workshops with communities of faith. This is great, and we're just into April in the first quarter of the year, and they've been out and about. On the create side, we have 40 active conversations with possible new communities, most of these in the migrant and diaspora community area. So these are Pan-African, Francophone African, Hong Kong, Philippine communities, Malagasy communities. There's a real excitement and a passion about the church reflecting better what the country looks like by welcoming these ministries and possibilities. So some really exciting things happening. But all these other pieces, praying without ceasing. Alan, thank you. These other pieces that are parts of the strategic plan, what's important is that they are connected. And so when we're talking about trying to have and sustain and encourage communities that thrive. We're talking about invigorating leadership and how are we doing that for the next generation and this time and the time to come. How are we meeting ministry needs for the future? And we have a set of initiatives, including the Moderators Regenerate Project, that are along those lines. When we think about communities that are thriving, we wonder whether nationally we could take some of the burden of some of the administration off shoulders. We know that folks are taxed, right? Financially and otherwise in terms of the governance responsibilities. We wonder if there's some things we can do to lighten that load and help support. So that's our Common Good initiatives are about that. We have a commitment to climate integrity. That's partly about our buildings, the common good stuff. It's partly about our advocacy. How can we connect that work across the country with programs like Faithful Footprints? And finally, emboldening justice. When we're inviting folks, we want to invite them into congregations. We want to invite them into justice initiatives that we can initiate and offer across the church. And we know we do this. There's pieces of this work, all those pieces that are connected to Indigenous right relations, but there's also a strand that is the Indigenous church doing its work about emerging, self-determining, sustainable, autonomous body in partnership, and that we know we've been through that conversation with the remit process, but that is an emerging piece. So that's what our strategic plan looks like. And what's been important for us is to make sure that it's accountable. So if you want to, and if you're interested, you can go on the website at any time, and you can look at how we're doing in those areas. You can go through and look at one of them specifically and say, what are the activities and how's the church doing? Because we haven't always been very good about that, right? But we're trying to report and to share that with you in a more tangible way. And I will just say one little side thing about data. We have just created a research and development team. It's the first time we've had that as a general council. And part of the reason is because we collect a lot of data, as we've just discussed, but we don't always use that data effectively to evaluate and shift and change direction. So one of the exciting things right now, I think, is to figure out how to use that data in creative ways to help us navigate a way forward. So I welcome the conversation because I think we're trying to figure out how do we use that really valuable data, that historic data that goes back all this time and is framed in ways that perhaps don't reflect us now, but how do we use it in ways that are good and creative? A word about the Moderators Project, and Moderators, you know, super committed to flourishing. And if you haven't had a chance, just to say that we would invite you to participate in the Mods Book Squad. There's 2 book studies that are coming up, just you can see, very soon. But there's a whole other set of books that we'll bring to the end of the moderator's tenure. And you don't have to, I was going to say, you don't have to have read the book. No. You don't have to have read all the books. You don't have to, you can just pop in and out. But it really is an opportunity to really creatively engage, or to ask a neighbor to come with you and participate as a way to introduce the church to someone in a different kind of way. The moderator's also committed to some workshops, and these congregational workshops on flourishing. And I understand we're trying to sort a date for some time in April 2025, where the moderator would be here to participate in that flourishing work. So that is coming ahead. And finally, I'll just say a few words about the centennial. It's our intention to really have a year of celebration, commemoration, and honoring, recognizing that we also have things of our legacy that we need to be mindful of, to repent, to lament. So it's a commemorating moment. The first part of that centennial process will launch on June 9th of this year. And so that's a live streamed event out of Metropolitan, a worship service. And we would invite everyone to come along and participate in that across the country. And that opens up a year of activities and events and worship and prayer and reflection on the theme of deep, bold, and daring, living into our call. We're about to launch a newsletter that will be specific to the centennial and invite us to have all sorts of themes that pull from our history and help us look forward in new ways. So that's an exciting thing. And I will close with the work that we're doing on Invite, because I think it's really exciting to talk about how we use this time to say this is who we are, and to speak to people across the country about who we might be in their lives in some kind of way. Whether that's coming along in shared justice campaigns, whether that's participating in educational experiences that we have to offer, volunteering and connecting to us, or whether that's being part of worshiping communities. And so we've done this experiment. You saw a little glimpse of it with the Stars on Ice video that has gone out across the country that is really trying to welcome people, introduce people again to the United Church. We have some research that tells us that there's an openness out there, that there's some familiarity with who we are and an openness to be a part of us if we reflect it in new and creative ways who we are across this country. So that's some really exciting work, and you'll see it, I think, start to unfold all the way through the centennial period and beyond as we try to find ways to not just talk to ourselves about ourselves, which we do a lot of, but actually try to talk to our neighbors about our faith and about what it means to be part of this beloved United Church that we are a part of. I'm just going to end with a little exercise with you to help me out as we continue to do this inviting work. And that is to put a question to you. And maybe you could put on a piece of paper in front of you if you can access that. And just answer this question with one word. One word. If we were to do an ad, a billboard, a radio spot, something that spoke about the United Church of Canada, what is the feeling that you would want that to evoke in the people who saw that, heard it? What's the feeling? What's the feeling? I'm just going to ask a brave soul to throw out a word. Can a brave soul tell us a word? What's a feeling? Curiosity. Okay. Who said curiosity? Who else said curiosity? Okay, curiosity. What's another word? Community. Community. Who else said community? Did I hear another one? Excitement? Who? Excitement. Okay. Which one? Say it again. Integrity. Integrity. Anybody else share that? Integrity. Yeah? Yes? Oh, you were with integrity. Awesome. Good. It's good to have partners in integrity. Affirming. Affirming. Loving. Loving. Inclusive. Weird. Weird. Okay. Who else said weird? I'm curious. Okay. Hope. Accepting. Accepting. Compassionate. Connection. Surprising. Yeah? Did you say surprising too? Yeah. What did you say? Sorry, I'm not hearing. Messy. Messy. Invited. 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 So, sorry? Okay. Restless. Okay. So I've got acceptance, compassion, connection, curiosity, community, excitement, integrity, affirming, loving, inclusive, weird, hope, invited, and things that I can't, messy, I can't read my messy writing. So in 30 seconds, which was what we had on the Stars and Ice context, we tried to capture some of those things, right? And what we're trying to do in moments like that is we can't say everything. And in fact, we probably can't use the space and time we have to say the things that are obvious, because we know people know we're a church, so that part's covered, right? So we try to say the things that we can't say. But what we try to do is to communicate a feeling that helps people go further, that might invite them to go, hey, the United Church of Canada? Like that, just that kind of open your eyes to a new opportunity to think about us. And maybe that one moment connects to another moment, and people have an opportunity to go, oh yeah, that's a couple times in this last little while that I've heard that. So I think that's what we're doing. And what I would just hope and encourage is that as you see these things roll out across the country, I will take your ideas here and bring them into the process. But also know that if they work for you, they might actually not work for the people out there, because you're here. And we love that you are this beloved church. But what we're striving to do is to speak to folks who aren't here and who we think might possibly be someone who might sit beside you, and someone who might be a partner in ministry, and someone who might work in that food bank with you, and someone who might dream the justice dreams with you in the future. So I will leave on this, inviting you to, if you want to write me a note, the second question is also very welcome. What's the most important thing that you would like people to know about us? So I'm happy to receive any little notes that you have about that. But know that we're in this together to try to extend that sense of radical hospitality, to that invitation across the country to this church that we love, and to boldly be that deep spirituality, that bold discipleship, and that daring justice in really embodied ways to the community across this whole country. So thank you for the time, and open to questions at coffee or any other time about any work of the General Council. Thank you.
So as the pandemic happened, we were supposed to host the last General Council. And we ended up hosting the last General Council online, which kind of meant that we didn't really get to do much except some packages that we sent out in the mail, kind of local arrangements, style, gifts, and so on. So we felt a little cheated. And we talked about that at the executive, and so we went back to the General Council and said, we kind of feel like we missed our turn. And so they said, well, yeah, fair, you did. So we got to host General Council 45. And as you know, that's going to be happening in Calgary next year. And so planning is well underway, and so we've got some local folks here who are offering leadership. I'm the executive minister who is on the Agenda and Planning Committee, of course, because we're the hosts. And then we have the chair of Agenda and Planning, Taylor Croissant, and Sue Broderick has agreed to serve as the local arrangements chair. So they're going to take some time to tell you about how you can be involved and how you can support the General Council 45.
What do you want to know? I'm really very honored to be the one that's chairing the planning committee. It's all of you that's put your trust in me through the executive to have that role. I'll just talk about what we've sort of been doing and then what we hope to do going forward. So first I'll get the people that are on the planning or the subcommittees of General Council to stand just so we can know. So we had Trina as one. Sue Broderick is the chair of the Local Arrangements Committee. Tony, are you around? Tony Snow's on it as well. Who else? Where's he at? Where? Yeah, Pamela and Chris Mapoy, they're Youth Forum. There she is. And who else is a Chinook Winds person on? That might be it. Okay, well, thanks to these folks. Chinook Winds makes up the bulk of all the planning so far. So it's good that we sort of are asserting our will on the whole nation, I guess. So the planning committee met in Calgary in September. We met at the venue that we'll be having the general council at, and that's the TELUS Convention Center downtown. We stayed at the hotels that we're going to invite commissioners to stay at from across the country. We toured the convention center. And then we just discussed sort of philosophically, what do we want the general council to be? We wanted to get that sort of groundwork done before we got into like the actual details of work. I'm really quite pleased. I think we have a great committee. So in addition to the people that have been named, I'll also lift up two other folks. So one is Kenji Marui. He is a minister in Sarnia, Ontario. He's going to be the chair of the business committee. And Miriam Spies, who has some Chinook Winds connections. Her family's from Scandia, down south by Medicine Hat. She's going to be the chair of the worship committee. So as the chair of the planning committee, I serve on all the subcommittees as well. So I've been engaged with all their work, though I'm really quite keen to let the chairs be the ones that drive most of that stuff. I just sort of I'm the connector between each of the committees. So thus far, the main work that we've been doing has been the worship and the business stuff have seen the most action thus far. So as Jennifer shared with us, we've got the centennial coming up in this year. What we are hoping for General Council 45 is that it is going to be the event that launches us into the second century. Well, for the past year, we'll have been, reflecting on, our successes and failures over the past century as the United Church, but General Council 45 moves us on into century number 2. That's our hope. So we've been designing some worship that we hope is going to be that, following the theme that the moderator has given to us, which comes to us from the book of Acts and the prophet Joel, the dreams and the visions. So as the planning chair, I try to enact the moderator's will. Hard to discern sometimes, but I'm trying my best. So in that worship, that's what we were hoping to do, is to hear those prophetic voices of the church that will speak to us of what our future in the next 100 years might look like. On the business end of things, much of our work has been brought to you for this meeting. We drafted what the proposal template is going to look like. Some things I wanted got in, some things did not. But I'm very happy. It seems to be working good so far from what we've been doing. I hope that you give us some business so that we're not twiddling our thumbs in Calgary next year. It'll be fun to discuss something for those 5 days that we're together. And then thank you to anyone who's also considered to be a commissioner to General Council as well. Your contributions to the policy making of the church are going to be very valuable. But for those who are not going to General Council in that capacity, we still need some additional people to make this a successful event. This is going to be the granddaddy of them all, the greatest of all General Councils. It's been a long time since the church has met in person as a General Council, like a very long time. People are going to be very anxious, probably going to be bringing us a lot of business to discuss in person. It's also the General Council that falls on the centennial year. We are so privileged that we get to be the hosts. Now, I don't know, there's, perhaps a reputation about Albertans across the country. Maybe we're a bit standoffish, maybe have a chip on our shoulder. We don't want people to have that impression of us. We want people to say, oh, the hospitality that we received when we went to Calgary, what a tremendous place to go. Of course, in the construction of all of the planning, we're going to make the opportunities for people to pop in and go to Banff even before or after the meeting as well. People want to have a good experience coming to Southern Alberta. We want to encourage that. Am I? Okay. So I'm going to just give, Sue's going to just talk for 1 minute then. Sue needs people to serve on the local arrangements committee to enact that hospitality that we wish to share with the country.
So we had an ad in the Chinook Winds newsletter, of which we will run again probably for the next month. Anybody interested in working with local arrangements, and the main job of local arrangements is for people to come to Calgary and have a good experience. We have some tasks to do, and those will be rolled out for those that are interested in helping. But please sign up. Thank you to a couple people that have already come to me at this meeting and said, hey, I'm interested in helping out with local arrangements. But my email address will be in the notice that Shelley's going to put in the newsletter probably the next 4 weeks, and then reach out to me and say that you're willing to either work on local arrangements in the planning work, or you will be available to help us on the week of August the 7th to the 12th in 2025, because we're going to need volunteers for that week while the commissioners and guests are here. But please reach out to me, because we do need a committee of 5 or 6 people to start to get some of the logistics of what's going to happen. Thank you. We don't know.
There should be. I don't know. I have been asked to coordinate the GC Youth Forum, and I just wanted to give you some information about that as well. So we made the inspired vision, I think it was more of a than decision, but that there would be 100 people under 30 years of age at GC 45. Next summer. So between Youth Forum, which is a program that runs us alongside and is part of the general council event, and the commissioners that come from the regions across the church, we want 100 young people to be at this GC 45. So in order to do that, we are hiring 6 students across the church for this coming summer to support the work of GC 45, and they will help with centennial events in their regions. They will encourage youth from their regions to participate in Youth Forum. They will be the storytellers of what's coming up and what's going on. And another piece of their work will be part of one of the committees that is part of the planning for GC 45. And so they will do that work during this summer, but they will also, it's been decided that they'll receive an honorarium to continue that work in those committees. And the reason why we've decided that they will receive an honorarium is that for most youth and young adults, they need part-time jobs in order to support school and other things that are going on in their life. And so it was felt that if we wanted people to be able to commit to this, that we needed to have that opportunity. So those positions, those 6 positions are open right now. The posting is open. And if you go to goproject.ca, if there is somebody in your midst that you think, wow, this would be a really great position for them. They're a total church geek. They love the business and proposals and drafting all that stuff. I can see them on the business committee, or I can see them part of local arrangements, or, please either talk to me or support them in getting the information so that they can apply for these positions. Thank you.
And thank you very much for your service and your work on this important task, and we look forward to pulling together as a community and being great hosts. We've got a good model to work from here after being in McDougall and the way that they have hosted us, which has been wonderful. Just on the centennial, noting that June 9th, there will be a centennial service kicking off the year, and then the following year, 2025, there will be another centennial service, and both of those will be available online. Break time. This is just a stand and stretch break. There'll be coffee, and we'll invite you just to grab that and come back in with it. So not a long chat break, but we want to start again at 3:15. But you'll have an opportunity just to stand up and turn around and sit back down. So, thanks.
Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Let us be known, let us be known by the way we love. Let us be known, let us be known by the way we love. Love, love, love. The greatest commandment is love. Love, love. The greatest commandment is love. Let's go back to the beginning. And I know you're just finishing munching. And I know the two don't go together. I know that much. But if you can save your last couple of bites for after the one song, we could sing this in a round. Right from the top, we'll sing all three. And then, then you're just going to start the one you like the best. That's the way we're going to do it. We're not going to divide up the room. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Let us be known, let us be known. Let us be known by what? The way we love. Let us be known, let us be known by the way we love. Love, love, love. The greatest commandment is love. Love, love. Now there you have your smorgasbord of choices. The last one is just the same note a few times in a row and you're off and running. The first one is love the Lord. The third is let us be, choose and let's go. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Let us be known, let us be known by the way we love, 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 love. The greatest commandment is love, love, love. The greatest commandment is love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind, and love your neighbor
yourself. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. Love, love, love. The greatest commandment is love. Love, love. The greatest commandment is love.
Friends, we are going to hear the report of the Nominations Committee for the Regional Council Executive and General Council Commissioners. We had planned to affirm the report by voting right now, but you're all a bunch of chatty folk, so we're losing time and we want to pick up time, and we have a decision session tomorrow that we can affirm these. So I'm going to present, and then you can think about the folks and pray for the folks who are going to be going on the executive as well as be involved in general council. So the nominations for the executive are as follows. The elders met and discerned and talked about a way forward. We created an extra space on the executive by moving some representation. The name of the executive member, who is the Indigenous elder? You want to come speak to that, Trina? Yeah. Yeah, so Trudy is going to be an Indigenous elder informing the work of the executive, and these are the nominations then for the Regional Council Executive: Nancy Norse, Luke Heisa, Dave Pollard, and Barry Clayton. So those are the folks who are going to be tapped to join the executive, and we will move to the next slide. We won't vote right now. The nominations for General Council Commissioner to General Council 45: Britta Den Hode, Owang Kwan, Rhonda Gower, Shane Goldie, Dave Pollard, Luke Heisa, Vicky McPhee, Nancy Nurse, Myeon Kim, and Hillary Van Spronson. My apologies. Kathy Yamashita has graciously volunteered to be an alternate delegate should any of those commissioners not be able to fulfill their duties. So that is the report of the Nominations Committee, and we invite you to sit with that and be ready to vote on that slate of nominations tomorrow.
Well, thanks so much to those folks who have put their name forward to serve in this way. Hasn't this been a great meeting so far? I'm sure you guys all know what a big job it is to pull a meeting like this together, and I think it's such an important time in the life of our region because we don't meet as regularly as we used to meet, and this is an opportunity for all of us to come together, be together, and to be community together. It's one of the largest items on the region's budget, and I just think it's so important to really make use of that time so that we come away from this time fed by being in relationship with one another, fed by being in worship together, and fed by learning together through our theme speakers and theme times. So thank you for being here. I know it's a lot of time, and for those of you who are lay members, often it might mean taking time off your work, and it's just such a gift of you all to be here with us. Each of you with your unique gifts and relentless dedication contribute immensely to the fabric of our community together. So as you heard during the executive report, the executive sets out the vision for the work that we do as staff. We call those ends in our governance model. They put policy in place so that we have guidelines about how we need to do our work, basically guardrails, things that we are not allowed to do. The policy is always phrased in the negative. So we have guidelines within which we work. And then our job as staff is to figure out how to operationalize that and basically make it happen, make the goals happen. So I kind of think of it like monkey bars. The executive puts a set of monkey bars in place, and then we get to play on them. In general, our work is centered around you. It's centered around communities of faith, and everything that we do as staff, every decision that we make, aims to empower those communities not just to exist, but to flourish, to thrive. Our purpose is to serve and support every church that's under our care. Our actions, plans, and goals are all designed to serve you, to bolster your capabilities, and to ensure that we walk together hand in hand in faith and in fellowship. At the heart of our strategy is a deep belief that leadership is crucial. Supporting our ministry leaders is not just a task, it's a crucial strategy to foster growth and resilience within our communities. Leadership is one of the ways that we support leadership, and we will continue to work to identify programs that will encourage and serve you in your work and ministry. You will also be aware that my role serves 2 regions. So it's a big job, 2 regional council meetings like this, 2 executives, and nearly 300 congregations. There would be no way to fulfill this role without an amazing staff team. And that's my glimmer of glory, that I get to work with these amazing people. So I'm hoping that we can help you to get to know them a little bit today and learn a little bit about the work that they do. Their hard work, creativity, and dedication are beyond measure. And I'm proud to lead such a talented group of individuals who not only embrace their responsibilities, but excel in them. I can tell you that one of the biggest challenges that I have in my work is convincing them to take their days off. So now I'm going to invite them to come up on stage here with me and let them share a little bit about the work that they do. Since I've given us this auspicious time of day when everybody's tired, I figured we'd better come up with a way to do this that's a little bit energetic and fun. So we're going to play a game. And the game is 2 truths and a lie. So they're going to say 3 things. 2 of them will be true, and 1 of them will be not true, and it's your job to guess which one of those things is the lie. So I contemplated not doing it myself and just making them do it, but I guess I'll do it because I think I'd get in a fair bit of trouble. So here's an example. My job is to look after the governance and management of the region, number 1. Number 2, my job is to manage a staff team between 2 regions that consists of about 30 people. And number 3 is I have a great life-work balance. Which one do you think the lie? 3. There you go. Just go for it.
So my name's Chris Mapwe. I use the pronouns he, him. I'm the First Third Ministry Animator and Justice and Community of Faith Coordinator for Chinook Winds Regional Council. So First Third Ministry Animator means that I draw cartoons with Bible characters that are represented by a variety of fruits and vegetables. I would like to retire from First Third Ministry. And I need your solidarity, which means I need volunteers. Our justice committees in Chinook Winds Regional Council are in desperate need of people to volunteer their time and energies in ministry to advance the work of justice. So.
1, 2, or 3? 2.
Oh. So I do not draw cartoon characters with where Bible characters are represented by fruits and vegetables. And what I mean by retire from First Third Ministry is that I hope that we as a United Church of Canada will value the work of children, youth, and young adult ministry, resource it and equip it, and value First Third Ministries in our communities, that one day after a long and healthy career, I could retire from First Third Ministry. So that is actually a truth. So the work of advocacy for children, youth, young adult ministry extends to the people who serve those communities. And it's my hope that it would actually be viable for leaders in the future to say that they had a long and successful career as a First Third Ministry animator.
Hello, my name is Mauricio Araujo. I'm the assistant to the executive minister. One of the things that I do is I assist with the regional executive meetings. That would be something that I do in my position. The second item would be, because I can actually speak fluently in Portuguese, I can read and write. I'm a member of the UCCBR network. There's a large community of Brazilians that are moving to Vancouver, and I assist translation and just explaining who we are. The third thing that I actually do is, because of my background in IT, I actually do provide support for people within the staff, principally in Pacific Mountain, but also here in Chinook Winds as well, to set up laptops, get things configured, get them online. So those are the three things that I do. Yes, yes, it is two. There is no UCCBR.
There should be. There will be soon. Hi, I'm Karen. No, please. So I'm Karen Medland. I'm the regional minister responsible for pastoral relations and community of faith support. And my three things are, I care pastorally for our M&P committees, and our catchphrase is, if in doubt, pardon? I build capacity into lay leaders by offering workshops, and my dog Sadie is actually the chair of the Pastoral Relations Working Group, and she has final say on all calls and appointments. Which one's a lie?
Hello again, I'm Michelle Slater, and I work for Leadership, and my three things are one, that I offer leadership development opportunities in Chinook Winds and Northern Spirit regions. Number two, that my work supports both ministry personnel and lay leaders. And number three, that in the last year I've partnered with Reverend Dr. Karen Medland, First Third Ministry, Stewardship Support, and the Office of Vocation in offering various learning opportunities. Number one, I work for Pacific Mountain and Chinook Winds. Well done. Ooh, I want to hear more about that.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to see everybody from up here. It's kind of a different angle. My name is Jess Beckerly, and three things about my work. Two are true, one is a lie. It's going to be a nail biter, this one. Okay, my work portfolio includes assistant to the Pastoral Relations Minister in Chinook Winds. I'm the Chinook Winds office admin and the Faith at Home magazine graphic layout person. I know, I live in Airdrie, but our office is in Okotoks, so with that, I know every pothole on the Deerfoot. And I only spend about 20 minutes a month on Church Hub, and it provides no gray hairs, and it is very flawless.
Hi, I'm Leanne Templeton, the archivist. My three things are that I provide archival services for 3 regional councils. Number 2, that I work alone, arranging and organizing the records that you send in, also known as a lone arranger. And number 3 is that I was born at the Holy Cross Hospital in Calgary, but I cheer for the Oilers. Thank It's actually number 2. I don't work alone. There are volunteers, very dedicated volunteers that support the work of the archives as well.
My name's Shelley. I do communications and cluster support, and because I'm a former preacher, mine is a bit longer. The first truth relates to our regional representatives. Who are regional reps? Wave your hands. Okay, this is the first truth. Regional representatives contribute to the health of our United Church congregations. If you want to know more about my research, talk to me at supper time. But in a nutshell, you make a point of knowing your church. You are someone else in your congregation besides the minister who can be aware of other resources that are available to you. You ask questions. You share with other congregations, you bring that knowledge back to your congregations. Regional representatives contribute to the health of our congregations. Take a bow, you deserve it. Truth number 2, after one of the geographical clusters met, one of the regional representatives emailed me and said, "Shelley, it was a joy to be part of that cluster gathering. I look forward to the next one." That's the truth. There is something beautiful that happens when people from different congregations come together to pray, to break bread together, to talk about their shared faith and purpose in serving their communities. We discover shared experiences, we learn from another, we discover opportunities to serve together. Beautiful things happen when clusters come together with intentional hospitality for one another. If your cluster doesn't have a future date set to meet, talk to me, and let's make that happen. Third truth, for which I need a slide up there. Okay, it was up. There it is. Okay, so this is Grammar 102. We are not called the United Church of Canada. We are called the United Church of Canada with all our foibles and delightful aspects. And never ever in Chinook Winds has anybody ever submitted anything for the newsletter or for the annual report that has been wrong grammatically. You all say the United Church of Canada. Okay.
Hello. So my 3 are this. Number 1, a significant amount of First Third core ministry funding in Chinook Winds is funded through the regional operating budget. And there are other pieces of this work that are dependent on grants, gifts from communities of faith, foundations, and individual donors. And that lack of stable funding keeps me up at night. Number 2, I have trouble determining how much food we need for events so that folks don't leave hungry. I'm getting better at it, but it's a struggle. And number 3, I'm known in both regions as having a tremendous gift for blowing up computers and printers, anything electric really, without even touching them or being in the room, so much so that other staff prefer to print documents for me rather than me doing it myself. 2, yes, there's always food.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Joel Denhan. I'm a strategy consultant for finance and property for Chinook Winds region, and then I have a second mandate that is coordinating consultant for the Property and New Church Development Council. And you can try and learn that acronym as your homework for this evening. It might go along with warts. I don't know. Here's some things. I can help you with your land titles and your property registration and your trustees issues. And I find working with Alberta Land Titles endlessly fascinating. Number 2, there's nothing like a good package of statistics. Number 3, if we only just spent more time getting our vision clear, everything would become clear for us. It's 3. Those of you that have been working with me recently will realize that I no longer believe in visioning. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jess Andrews. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm the campus minister at the University of Calgary and Mount Royal University. So my first is that I'm a coffee snob, and all the students that I work with know that. My second is that our most effective advertising in the last year for our campus events has been sidewalk chalk drawings. And my third is that at our MRU drum circle, I am typically, but not always, the only woman in the room, and also actually most frequently, almost every time, the only white person in the room. One, and I'm a tea drinker, and the Faith and Spirituality Center at the University of Calgary is known as a place on campus where you can come for a free cup of tea and has a lot of tea-related programming.
So we have a couple of minutes. We're able to take some questions. If there are questions that you have for myself or any of the staff members, we can do that. Everybody jump up at once. Are there any staff members not present? Yes, thank you, Kathy, sorry. Tony, as you heard earlier, needed to leave for a funeral, and so he isn't back yet. He thought he might be, but he hasn't made it back, so we're missing Tony, but he's on staff with us. I had that written down, and then I forgot to say it. Sorry. Okay, well, let's take a moment to show our appreciation to this wonderful group of people who lead the region. And you like our new Chinook Winds hoodies? We should sell them as a fundraiser for Campus United. Okay, well, we're off to workshop time now. Those workshops begin at 4 o'clock. So you'll have a couple of minutes to get yourself there. The Let Us Sing workshop is going to be in this space here, and that's going to be a hybrid workshop, so it'll be available to folks in the room and online. The art workshop is downstairs in the art room, and so I don't know how to, that side of the building. And the biblical storytelling workshop is in room, called the Faith Room downstairs. And so there'll be folks around. If you're having trouble finding your way, you can ask, and hopefully someone will be able to help you. So we'll be there at 4. You'll do your workshops, and then we will regather in the dining room